Now you know why we keep sweeping up awards at local competitions with our prep choir. Incredible stuff, Prep. Thank you so much. Well, it is my pleasure to hand over to Mr. Murphy to open proceedings.
Good morning, everybody, and dream big. What a fantastic way to get our morning off to a start. I'd like to add my thanks to the Prep Choir for a really phenomenal performance. Thank you. Good morning, everyone, pupils, parents, staff, alumni, and fellow members of the board. It is a real privilege to welcome you here today for Speech Day, a day of celebration, reflection, humility, and gratitude. And whether you're a long-standing member of the Moreton community or joining us for the first time, I thank you for being here to mark this important occasion as the school year comes to a close. It would be remiss not to acknowledge the wider context in which independent schools like ours are now operating. From political shifts and policy proposals to debates around educational equity, the independent sector is under greater scrutiny than ever before. The application of VAT to school fees, the removal of charitable tax reliefs, the imposition of a national insurance rise have brought real challenges, not just to schools, but to the loyal families and the communities that they serve. Yet in the midst of this uncertainty, which since January has seen no fewer than 27 other schools close, Moreton stands tall. We continue to lead, not follow, to innovate, not stagnate, and above all, to remain steadfast in our mission to educate girls with intellectual rigour, emotional intelligence, and moral fortitude. Alongside our commitment to unwavering academic, co-curricular and pastoral excellence, we have also invested very significantly in the enhancement of our physical environment. The wonderful grounds look better than ever, and it is hugely gratifying to see a growing link being cultivated with the Wales and England lacrosse teams. In recent months, there has also been a major refurbishment programme of our swimming pool, this sports hall, the gymnasium, the Musgrave, some of the boarding houses, all a part of a wider strategy to ensure that our facilities match the ambition of leading schools in the UK. These investments not only benefit our pupils, but support our role as a regional benefactor, offering initiatives that strengthen ties with the local community and reaffirm our commitment to shared growth, prosperity and well-being in this area. It has been another remarkable year for the school in terms of achievement. Our academic outcomes remain high, a reflection of both the endeavour of the students and the high standards upheld by dedicated teaching staff across every subject and in every classroom. But what makes Moreton truly special is the breadth of achievement. Whether in the theatre, on the sports field, or through the Extraordinary Enterprises programme, our girls continue to impress and inspire. There is energy here, there is originality, there is a belief that young women can and must shape the future. To our leavers, you leave today as Moretonians for life. You're heading to universities, adventures, the unknown. But wherever you go, you carry with you the spirit of this school, a spirit of independence, of inquiry, of courage. And my advice to you is simple but heartfelt. Stay curious. Ask questions of the world, of others, and of yourself. Be generous. Use your talents to uplift others, not just for personal gain. Hold your values. The world will challenge them, but that is when they matter most. And always remember, the friendships you have made here, the resilience you have built, the experiences you have gathered will serve you well, not just for the next few years, but for life. Thank you again to everyone who contributes to the beating heart of this exceptional school. To today's prize winners, I offer you congratulations. Well done. Enjoy your moment in the limelight. And to those not winning a prize, don't worry. It won't define you. And frankly, I only ever won the table tennis prize at school. I'll never forget it. My mother looked like she'd swallowed a fly. To our staff, we are fortunate indeed to have you, and thank you for all that you do above and beyond the 9 to 5. Discretionary efforts and collective enthusiasm mean so much, and you show that in abundance. To our leadership team, I know firsthand the challenges that you face on a daily basis with the operational running of a school. It rarely goes in straight lines, but that's what makes it interesting. You've held firm and led by example, so thank you very much. And to my fellow members of the board, thank you for your sage advice and support during an exacting few months. I greatly appreciate your quiet vote of confidence. And to our owners, thank you for your belief in and support of our wonderful school and the value of its offer. In a rapidly fragmenting sector, we are very fortunate to be in such a protectorate. And finally, to our leavers again, go forward with confidence, be bold, be kind, stay true to yourself. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of this very special day.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy, and my sincere thanks to Ms. Liu, Mr. McTaggart, Ms. Speakman, Ms. Williams, Ms. Champion, Ms. Quantrell, Ms. Conlon, and Mrs. Walker for being a top team. Thanks also to my exceptional colleagues in all areas of school life. I've remarked a few times to friends outside of Moreton that it is practically its own little town. And like any little town, it is the regulars and the residents that make it such a wonderful place to live. And of course, thanks to our Moreton Hall families, you and your incredible children are literally what make our school. Our pupils have embraced opportunities. They've achieved more than we thought was possible, again, and enjoyed every breathtaking moment of another school year. They've represented at the highest levels in international, national and academic competitions, including the UK MT Maths Challenges, the Biology Olympiad, and let us not forget Becca Earle placing 29th, wait for it, 29th out of 4,000 entrants in the Global Psychology Olympiad. They've eaten up courses such as Bronze and Gold Duke of Edinburgh Awards and Leith's School of Food and Wine. The latter taken on tour recently to the Shropshire Food Festival, where our girls were the ones teaching the general public how to make cheesecake. They've taken additional qualifications in Lambda and the music boards, with pupils reaching grade 8 in both, often years in advance that would be typical. Pupils have engaged with masterclasses with professional musicians and actors throughout the year. Then they've set the stage alight in their incredible singing and dancing and acting in Made in Dagenham and Moana Junior, completing a powerful duo of plays on the theme of female empowerment. In sport, our lacrosse teams continue to blaze trails as Welsh Rally champions, North Schools champions, and ranking in the national top 8, with girls playing for Shropshire, the north of England, England and Wales. In hockey, we were county finalists and champions, qualifying for the regional finals too, and our players have been selected for county and regional sides and national development pathways. In cricket, our girls successfully switched sticks for bats, reaching the regional semi-finals of the National Schools Cup. In tennis, we were North Shropshire LTA division winners, with Carly Stewart earning her place in the county team. And of course, Moreton is a school that takes pride in the many ways that pupils carve their individual paths to success, as they've done at the highest levels, for example, in equestrian, motocross and canoe sports. In many respects, it has been a perfectly normal Moreton year, as far as that word ever applies to this school. Except that, as Mr. Murphy alluded to, it has been anything but normal, and except that for our leavers, it is their last. They look so demure now, but at 3 o'clock this morning, they were like St. Trinian's garden gnomes, with terrible aim. It is often said that we live in changing times, and we do, and we always have. As we come to the close of another school year, our leavers prepare to depart from their home here at Moreton and from their family homes in pursuit of higher education, employment, and/or adventure. Thoughts now turn to how much is about to change, and change can be notoriously unsettling. When we feel that we don't know what is coming next, It is only natural to experience a certain nervousness. We can embrace that, though, taking reassurance from the wise words of Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Sometimes we get stuck on what we know and what we don't. There is, of course, a difference between knowledge and understanding. Crucially, when we understand that we won't always know what the future holds, we become freer, more agile, and less fearful. This is the challenge that faces our leavers as they go out into those perennial changing times. Lynn Wells, former US Deputy Assistant Director of Defense, was in 2001 tasked with forecasting for the then Bush administration what the next 10 years might look like. He composed his thoughts in a memo shared in April 2001. I'd like to share those thoughts with you now. If you had been a security policymaker in the world's greatest power in 1900, you would have been a Brit, looking warily at your age-old enemy, France. I'm just going to pause it because we've got some lovely French families with us. And we eye you with nothing but bonhomie, I promise. By 1910, you would be allied with France and your enemy would be Germany, ditto our German friends. By 1920, World War I would have been fought and won, and you'd be engaged in a naval arms race with your erstwhile allies, the US and Japan. By 1930, naval arms limitation treaties were in effect, the Great Depression was underway, and the defence planning standard was no war for 10 years. 9 years later, World War II began. By 1950, Britain was no longer the world's greatest power. The atomic age had dawned, and police action was underway in Korea. 10 years later, the political focus was on the missile gap. The strategic paradigm was shifting from massive retaliation to flexible response, and few people had heard of Vietnam. By 1970, the peak of American involvement in Vietnam had come and gone, and we were beginning our détente with the Soviets. We were anointing the Shah as the protégé in the Gulf region. By 1980, the Soviets were in Afghanistan. Iran was in the throes of revolution. There was talk of hollow forces and a window of vulnerability. The US was the greatest creditor nation there had ever been. By 1990, the Soviet Union was within a year of dissolution. American forces in the desert were on the verge of showing they were anything but hollow. The US had become the greatest debtor nation that the world had ever known, and nobody had heard of the internet. 10 years later, Warsaw was the capital of a NATO nation. Asymmetric threats transcended geography, and the parallel revolutions of information, biotechnology, robotics, nanotechnology, and high-density energy sources foreshadowed changes beyond forecasting. All of which is to say, I'm not sure what 2010 will look like, but I'm sure it will look very little like what we should expect, and therefore we must plan accordingly. Our leavers are more than up to that challenge. Indeed, they are among the finest of a generation that sees the world differently. Their education here at Moreton has taught them that if they can envision something, they can achieve it. Rather than search for certainty, they will thrive in understanding that they themselves can bring about so many positive changes. They are self-aware and self-actualizing through that awareness. Socrates famously said that if he was the wisest man in Athens, it was because he knew that he knew nothing, whereas others were silly enough to believe themselves otherwise. In the great Socratic tradition, our leavers are wise because they know that they don't know what is coming next. They understand that the future isn't yet written, and they can be the ones to enjoy writing it. Leavers, you've heard this said by staff across the school this week. I know because I've been part of these conversations. You are truly part of a golden year group for this school, and you will long be remembered. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, distinguished guests, I would like to begin by thanking Mr. Brewer and his team for appointing Hattie as head girl last year. Hattie made no bones about the fact she wanted to be head girl and has absolutely relished it. With the role of head girl comes a responsibility for the parents, usually the father, to make a speech. Well over a year ago, Hattie asked Richard if he would do it, and he sheepishly agreed. Richard was asked at pretty regular intervals from the start of this year how the speech preparation was coming along. There was little, if any, response. I was feeling slightly concerned as to what he was actually going to put in this speech. Those of you who know him, there won't be many, he doesn't leave the island much, will know that Richard is certainly the lesser spotted parent of the two of us at school and has little knowledge on Hattie's school life. A few weeks ago, Richard was chatting to the girls and asked Hattie, "Is it Ridgemount House you're in at the moment?" Alarm bells really did start to ring, and I asked Hattie, was she absolutely sure that Richard should be set loose on this stage to make the speech? She said she thought it would be fine, and surely he could brush up by speech day. The jury was out. The final decision, however, was made last Saturday. That it really wasn't wise to let him make this speech. We attended the Leavers Ball, and I caught Richard and Julian Barnfield standing in a corner looking bemused. I went up to them, and Richard turned and asked, "Who's the young man having his photos taken with the girls?" That will be Mr. Brewer. So here I am with a last-minute speech, which isn't prepared as it could have been. But I do hope that if nothing else, I know that Hattie hasn't spent the last year living in a boys' house at Shrewsbury School. Hattie started boarding at Moreton in Year 6. The school was the same in many ways then as it is now, but different in others. I remember standing in her dorm in Stables the day we arrived and mentioning to a current parent that I hadn't received any registration forms to sign yet, but here we were. The friendly parent said, "Oh, don't worry, it's not like that here. They don't really worry about forms. But Mrs. Dennison will be expecting you." And indeed she was. It's safe to say the form system is much more streamlined today. Since the first year in Moreton Prep and all throughout senior school, one thing that has stayed absolutely consistent is the support of the teachers. You hear the girls mention it year after year, and I feel I'm slightly repetitive for doing so again this year. However, it would be completely remiss of me not to mention them and to thank them for their unwavering support, for always going that extra mile and a bit more. They really do have a rock-solid interest in each and every girl. For many, their input is transformational. When I sat down to write this speech last week, I looked back to the child I dropped off in 2017, in comparison to the young lady who will be driving herself back home today. I thought about how she has changed and the qualities she now holds. For me, I think positivity stands out. Hattie has the wonderful ability to always see the positive things in life. When things go wrong, she will find a positive spin and slap it on it. We drove from Anglesey to Scotland one day to go eventing. Hattie was very happy to go and walk the cross-country course herself. I wasn't needed. She came back and said it was a lovely course. Excellent, I thought. She'd done her dressage and show jumping, and they had gone really well. Cross-country was the ponies' strongest phase, so things were looking good. They set off well, and the early commentary was encouraging. Then, the dreaded words, Hattie Maddox and Shingless Joe have been eliminated, boomed out over the tannoy. I couldn't believe it. The conversation went something like this. What happened? I jumped the wrong fence. What do you mean you've jumped the wrong fence? You'd walked the course, you said you knew it. Well, there was one point when it was a bit confusing, and I jumped a fence I wasn't supposed to. Well, it's not like you. Was it not clear you weren't supposed to jump it? Well, yes, it was really clear. It had flags across it. So you've managed to jump a fence on a ridiculous angle with two great big flags across it? Yes. As I stormed off in despair, thinking about the long and quiet 6-hour journey back home, all I could hear was her shrilling behind me. Oh, I know it's a bit annoying, but it would have made an excellent photo if they'd captured it. I'll need more in a minute, sorry. Team player. Hattie is the epitome of a team player. She is enthusiastic, kind, encouraging, positive, and selfless. She always wants her individual performance to be the best it can, but the success of the team, the happiness of the players, and the team spirit were always of utmost importance to her. At Nationals this year, the girls had the horrid scenario of being knocked out on golden goal. I thought someone laughed then, sorry. As the girls gathered with Miss Walsh as they walked off the pitch, I couldn't see Hattie with the others. I looked across and saw that she had gone to get the goalie, her arm locked tightly around her shoulder, slowly walking her back, reassuring her not to worry. Confidence. Again, this is something you hear time and time again about Moreton and how it makes the girls confident, but it truly does. It gives them opportunities to try things in an environment that is encouraging and supportive. Hattie would be the first to admit she's not a drama kid. But playing the part of Ernest in the importance of being earnest was something that she relished and will remember it forever. Good company and humour. Hattie is good company. At a social event, you can rely upon her to break the ice, keep the conversation going, and to include someone who is left out. She can speak with people of all ages, backgrounds, and religions. She has a good sense of humour, just like her friends. I picked them up one night from Shrewsbury after a drink or 5 and took them back to school. It was most enjoyable listening to their banter, the quick-witted comments, and them rapidly bringing each other down to earth when they got a bit too peppy. As humorous as the conversation was, it is probably one that's best not repeated here today. To always give things a go. Moreton provides the girls with so many opportunities. For Hattie, sport, lacrosse especially, has been such a huge part of her time here. But there are countless other things she has taken part in. Church services, divisional competitions, volunteering, the circus, residential trips, plays and charity events, to name but a few. Hattie has been very fortunate to have a number of opportunities for public speaking, and I very much hope that it's going to hold her in good stead for what she's about to deliver shortly. Gratitude. Finally, but most importantly, is gratitude. Although with teenagers it can sometimes seem a little scarce, I do know that Hattie has copious amounts of gratitude for everything that has been offered to her at Moreton. The opportunities, the experiences, the knowledge, the friendships, the bad days that make the good ones even better, the support, the safety net, the staff members who she was confidently able to confide in, and the memories that will last a lifetime. On that note, and on behalf of the families of this year's Upper Sixth, I would like to thank the Board of Directors, Mr. Brewer, and all of the staff for all that you have done for them. You are a tremendous group of girls, a cohort I know your school is so proud of. I wish you all the very best for your future. And on behalf of Richard and I, thank you, Moreton. Thank you for the exceptional end product that you are safely returning to us after being in your care for the last 8 years. A young lady who is happy, confident, and ready to take on those next steps, whatever or wherever they may be. We are extremely proud of you, Hattie, and delighted to call you ours.
I'm glad my name's not Richard. That's what I'm, wow. An amazing speech. The bar set very high. Okay, we are going to move on to the presentation of the special awards. And that begins with the Divisional Award for 2025. Our 4 houses have fought across the year to gain points, to gain this award. And I know right from the very first competitions of the year through to Sports Day, this really, really matters. The girls give absolutely everything to try and make sure that their house nudges ahead a few points. And so we have tallied all of those said points. And I am in a position to reveal that we have a winner. In 4th place this year with 5,432 points, the wonderful Calvert. Everybody, Calvert. In 3rd place, with 5,490 points, Norton. Well done, Norton. In 2nd place, with 6,371 points, Vincent. Which, of course, means you've worked out that Roberts have won, but they've won with 6,645 points, romping home with the trophy. Roberts, well done. Claudia and Grace, please come forwards. Congratulations. You're going to go behind me and collect that. Well done, well done. Okay. Okay, and now we move into the organised chaos of all of the awards, and there are many. So, beginning with the fabulous Moreton Hall Prep, the Prep Achievement Award goes to Mao Zunning, Sabrina. Jemima Lee is awarded the Prep Effort Award. Darcy Saxon-Jones and Ella Davis share the Grace Lloyd Williams Award for Good Citizenship. If you'd like to come forwards, please, ladies. Maya Williams receives the Sports Award. The Prep Music Cup is presented to Esme Ellison. Florence Rusco Edwards is awarded the Drama Prep Award, and the Prep Boarding Award goes to Bethan Lister. Liliana Forrester and Lucinda Legu-Moore received the Prep Personal Development Award. The Prep Progress Award goes to Darcy Everell. Lowry McKay receives the award for commitment to school life. The Scholarship Values Award is presented to Mabel Easthope. Leah Flint receives the Gaiety Values Award, and Elsie Humphreys receives the Humanity Values Award. Our younger prep children received the following awards, and we would like them to come up to collect their certificates. The Scholarship Award for demonstrating excellence and a love of learning goes to Hezekiah Senbanjo, Ellis Thomas, Harriet Reynolds, Evie Burrows, and Callie Entwistle. Well done. Superb. Well done. The Gaiety Award for pupils who have joyfully and enthusiastically engaged with school life, whether it be sport, music, drama, the arts, or a combination of the above. This award goes to Jairus Lakowicz, Braxton Evans, Skylar Evans, and Lottie Foster. Brilliant. Well done, my The Humanity Prize for pupils who have shown friendship, compassion, empathy, and selfless service goes to Betty Ellison, Harrison Gaunt, Finley Hatcher-Moore, Emily Dean, Ella Jones, and Barnaby Simpkin. How you doing? You all right? Good now. Do you want a handshake as well? Let's have one. Why not? Well done, you. Well done. Well done. Well done. Barnaby told me that he slept through pots and pans last night. I was just going to say, Barnaby, how exhausting it must be to be so joyful and enthusiastic all of the time. Don't try and ad-lib with Mortonians. They always get the better of you. Okay, carrying on with the script. Stables, the Remove Monologue competition winner is Abina Sewa. The Field Drama Cup goes to B. Durham, and the Stables Music Cup is awarded to Carmen Nichols and Tafy Evans. Please come on forward. Well done. Carly Stewart receives the Middle School Tennis Champions Award. Carly. In Pilkington and Lloyd Williams, the Middle School Music Cup is presented to Renee Harm. Hadassah Shemalbani receives the Ibn Clark Trophy and is also awarded the Charities Award with Tulawani Badadi. Hannah Edlington receives the Halsall Williams Spoken English Trophy. The Bruna Hodges German Prize is awarded to Felicity Norton, and Lucy Barker is awarded the Anne Barber Trophy for Sport. Well done. Got it? Both hands on that one. Well done. Well done. Excellent work, well done. Well done, well done. In Mitchell House, the Laura Gadd GCSE Art Trophy is awarded to Seren Fogelberg-Lewis. Sienna Midwood and Arabella Welch receive the GCSE Drama Cup. The Reeks Williams English GCSE Cup is presented to Harriet Brewer and Fionn Naylor, who also receives the Wilding Middle School Science Cup, with Nana Apongtando receiving the Classics Award for Latin. Well done, well done. Well done, well done. Well done, well done. In Lower Sixth, the Halsall Williams Spoken English Senior Trophy is awarded to Kate Reardon and Isabella Marsh, who also receives the English Speaking Board Trophy. Well done. And in Upper Sixth, in sport, the Gittins Trophy for Sporting Excellence goes to Romilly Pickering. Romilly also receives the Bourne Greatwood Chemistry Award and the France Hayhurst Bracelet for her exciting gap year plans. Romilly. The Pickering Blazer collection is legendary. Another envious piece. Cara Puvagal wins the Morgan Hockey Trophy and the Senior School Tennis Champion Award. Cara also receives the Pinder Mathematics Trophy, double maths. Cara also shares the Jenner Award with Kathy Holt, and they both receive the Litmus Prize for contribution to the Eco Team. Kathy receives the Davis Roberts Science Cup. Please come on up. Well done, well done. A short walk for Hattie Maddox, who receives the Janet Norton Award for Sport and the Cookson History Trophy. Hattie. Eliza Pickering receives the Scots Sports Trophy, the Outstanding Achievement Award for Art, and the Faraday Physics Prize. The prize for outstanding commitment to school sport is awarded to Cecily Penrhys and Hilary Lau. Cecily also receives the Outstanding Achievement Award for Textiles, and Hilary shares the Hill Trophy for Good Citizenship with Ruby Wilcox. In music, Helena Shepherd receives the Laura Morris Choral Cup. Yasmin Tayak is presented with the Lady Barbarioli Award for Outstanding Contribution and also receives the Ollier Prize for Modern Languages with Sophie Bunce. We are introducing two new awards this year, and the first of those is this one, the Sheila Reid Award. Sheila Reid, many parents will remember as a star of stage and screen, and Sheila, now in her late 80s, is still acting. Mr. Jenkins reached out to Sheila recently with the idea that we would award a prize in her name, and asked for her input. We wanted this to go to somebody who has loved drama and served drama throughout the school. Sheila wanted it to go to somebody with a real burning enthusiasm for the art of acting, a need rather than a want. The award this year goes to Beatrice Lamette. Beatrice also receives the Owen Trophy for English and the Hodgkinson Prize for French alongside Hermione Grant. Hermione receives the Lingard Research Award for Fine Art, the prize for History of Art, the Leiths Salter Prize with Claudia Barnfield. Hermione also receives the Knight Cup for outstanding work for the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme alongside Becca Earle. You might want to go around. Yeah, you were told to stay there. Well, okay, I don't know for how long, though. Do I just keep talking? Okay, I'll just keep talking. Claudia also receives the Sixth Form Design Maker Award, and Becca is there. No, we've got there now. And Becca is awarded the prize for contribution to Moreton Enterprises, the CCF Award, and the Piaget Psychology Prize. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well done. Well done, Claudia, well done. The MacDonald Performing Arts Award is presented to Amy Elliott and Grace Fell. The Nicholas Drama Cup is awarded to Chloe Harris and Jenna Bell Tompkinson. Chloe also receives the Selina Sass Geography Cup. So Chloe also receives the Selina Sass Geography Cup. Emily Borders receives the Outstanding Contribution to Drama and the Classics Award for Classical Civilization with Florence Drucker. Well done, Florence. In art, the Nicola Hooper Art Cup is awarded to Lucy Nelson, who also receives the Bolton Biology Trophy and the Hebblethwaite Award for the student who, through perseverance and hard work, has made significant progress during their time at Moreton Hall. Katie Larouet and Harriet Evans received the Outstanding Achievement Award for Photography. Harriet is also awarded the prize for Religious Studies. In languages, the Modern Languages Spanish Prize is presented to Anna Ng. Anna also receives the Moreton Promoting Women's Rights Award, the EPQ Award, and the Anne Lloyd Trophy for Mathematics in Single Maths, which is shared with Alice Record. Mackenzie Rumble and Rovian Johnson received the Smith Cup for Economics. The Aboiler Trophy for Business is awarded to Amelia Jones and Fionn Lewis Rees. The second new award that we will be making today is the Barnes Award for Longevity. This is awarded to pupils who have attended Moreton for their whole school career, and this was donated by the Barnes family, whose daughter Emma was with us right the way from nursery all the way through. Now, we've been through our records, and there are 4 girls who started Moreton within crawling distance of one another. Those 4 girls are Sophie Bunce, Becca Earle, Kathy Holt, and Amelia Jones. In acknowledgement of their contribution to school life and in recognition of their personal development, the Principals' Awards this year go to Becca Earle, Bea Lamete, Hilary Lau, Hattie Maddox, Eliza Pickering and Romilly Pickering. Well done, Dave. Well done, Dave. We come to our final award of this service, the Carifa Smart Trophy. This was first awarded in 1967, commemorating a visit by Dr. Carifa Smart, and it's awarded to a girl who is a great servant of the school and fulfills the words of Sir Francis Drake. There must be a beginning of any great matter, but the continuing until the end, until it be thoroughly finished, yields true glory. This year, the award goes to Hattie Maddox. This is the original Carifa Smart Trophy at the front there. Yes, if you say head girl, it's coming home with you, it's coming home with you. Okay, well that brings us to the end of the awards, but we are now going to be treated to the three speeches that are to come. Tissues at the ready, dads and mums. Are we ready, ladies? Yes. Yes, okay. The floor is yours.
Chair, Principal, family and friends. It's funny to think that it was never actually part of the plan for me or my sister to come to Moreton Hall at all. Our mum went to Shrewsbury High School, so was never exactly the greatest fan of the Moreton girls, mainly because, according to her, they were always stiff competition for the best-looking Shrewsbury boys. If you told her younger self that she'd one day send both her daughters to Moreton Hall, I don't think she would have believed it. Back in 2016, our parents were driving past the front gates of Moreton when they noticed it was open day. On a total whim, and out of nosiness, they decided to turn in and take a look. Just at that first glance, my mum's grudge of old disappeared. Thank you so much to my parents for making that one spontaneous decision that would become the starting point for what would turn into 7 unforgettable, meaningful years which I'll treasure always. Oh, okay. Over the years at Speech Day, the prefect's speeches have always been my favourite part. I remember sitting in this very sports hall at the end of my first year here at Moreton, listening in awe, wondering what I would say if I were ever lucky enough to stand up here myself. However, trying to summarise my time at Moreton into a few pages has been so much harder than I ever imagined. Growing up, I was a dedicated musical theatre kid, so naturally the thing I was most excited about when moving to Moreton was the incredible drama department. From face-to-face every Friday... From face-to-face every Friday night to show rehearsals all weekend, I've spent a fair few hours in the Musgrave and Holroyd at the mercy of Mr. Jenkins' enthusiasm. I've been in a number of shows since joining Moreton, starting with High School Musical. When this show was announced, Romilly and I were beside ourselves. Some of you may recall our fully choreographed and incredibly serious renditions of Bop to the Top, a number performed with great energy and what we considered to be West End talent, and proven, might I add, by winning the Stables Talent Show in Remove. My final production at Moreton was Made in Dagenham, which was the perfect show to wrap up 7 years of committed jazz hands. Those few months of rehearsals were truly special, and the ugly crying at the end of the last show made me slightly concerned for what emotional state I might be in today. The Moreton productions build bonds throughout the school in ways nothing else possibly could. Spending nearly every lunchtime, evening and weekend rehearsing with cast and crew has brought me some of my closest friends. Our dressing room photo shoots, backstage TikToks and crazy after-show parties made show week unforgettable. I will forever miss performing with you. I would like to thank Mr. Jenkins for putting up with me, Romilly and Bea. I know drama kids can be a little bit annoying. Sorry for our endless interrogations about what the next production will be and our very, very competitive games of Buzzy Bee. My experience at Moreton would have been so different if it hadn't been for you. You've given us so many incredible experiences and opportunities, which I'm very grateful for, so thank you. I never thought I'd see any of our classmates cry as much as we did during our last ever English lesson in Upper 5. We weren't mourning the end of analysing poetry or learning Anne Inspector Calls quotes. We were mourning the end of lessons with Mr. Reynolds. Whether we acted out scenes from Romeo or Juliet in full costume or spent the lesson reading out our fan fiction-like creative writing, GCSE English lessons quickly became the highlight of our week, and they will always be my favourite. However, English lessons weren't the only memorable ones. There hasn't been a day where I've dreaded to go to school. Whenever someone's asked me if I was enjoying school, I would respond without hesitation that I absolutely loved it. People often found that a little bit surprising, but for me, it couldn't have been more true. I have enjoyed every single day at Moreton. This is largely due to the teachers. Whether it was staying behind to help us understand something, encouraging us when we doubted ourselves, or simply believing in us even when we didn't, they've made a lasting difference. So thank you to all the teachers for inspiring me and the rest of Upper 6 and helping our time at this school to be as special as it has been. I know we're technically not supposed to choose our A-levels based on the teachers, but if it weren't for Mr. Long, I don't think physics would have even made my shortlist. He's been my teacher since year 8 and somehow managed to turn my least favourite science into the subject I'm heading off to study at university. Whilst A-level physics has been a challenge, Mr. Long and Mrs. Counter have supported our little class of 4 every step of the way. They've made what could have been a terrifying subject into something I find exciting and genuinely rewarding. So thank you, Mrs. Counter, for all your encouragement and patience. And thank you, Mr. Long, for all of your wisdom and for being the best tutor. Now I'm going to talk about my fellow Upper 6 and do my best to hold it together. Our long dinner time chats and cups of tea in the common room will always make me smile. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Oh, right. We've bonded over Cossack dancing in the circus, dressing up as canaries and St. Martins, and bruised knees from intense middle school show choreography. All very good examples of the wonderful compulsory fun. Whilst we all joined Moreton at different points, it's hard to imagine not spending nearly every day living with all of you. As a year group, we've been through a lot together. We haven't had very much with school trips in particular. In Stables, our lacrosse tour to Prague and French trip were both unfortunately cancelled. However, we did manage to go on one residential all the way down the road to Kingswood at the end of Remove. What we thought was going to be an exciting weekend of outdoor activities did not turn out quite as we hoped. In reality, it poured it down with rain non-stop for the entire trip, and we spent most of it soaked through, muddy and slightly traumatised. To make matters worse, the food was so shockingly bad that a full-scale protest of hungry 12-year-olds almost broke out. Somehow, we managed to convince Mrs. Borrett and Mrs. Lott to abandon the dodgy canteen food and order Domino's for the whole year group. It definitely was the most triumphant moment of the weekend. Whilst the trip itself didn't go quite as imagined, it definitely was a character-building and memorable weekend. For our year group, there have been many different phases and obsessions over the years, from Mamma Mia and Harry Potter to DIY hair bleaching. But one of the most profound, for me anyway, definitely hit in Upper 4, the One Direction era. A few of us developed an all-consuming obsession with the famous boy band. I think it's safe to say I spent most evening in Romilly, Hope and Anna's dorm playing Guess the One Direction song like it was an Olympic sport. There may even still be remnants of our carefully curated Harry Styles shrine on the back of one of the doors in Pilk. One of my fondest memories that I'd like to share took place in Lower 5. One night in Gem, there was a huge storm which caused a power cut, waking everyone up. With no hope of getting back to sleep due to the emergency lights remaining on, everyone decided to make their way into Ruby and Grace's dorm. With about 10 people squashed into each bed, it felt like something out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The next morning, with the wind still howling, we were all trapped in-house. We gathered in the front hall around the fireplace, wrapped in blankets and hot chocolates in hand. Whilst I didn't realise it at the time, this moment of us all together was so special, and I think it really sums up the kind of magical school Moreton is. It's hard to believe that today is the day we will all go our separate ways once and for all. But as one of my heroines, Miranda Hart, says, when you're dumped in a boarding school, you all bond for life, which I think is very much true. Thank you for the past 7 years. I love you all so much. Please stay in touch. Thank you to all of our house staff from Stables to Charlesworth. You have always made the boarding house feel like a second home. Whenever any of us needed help, advice, or just to chat, you were always there. We're so grateful for everything you've done for us. Right, okay. I've saved lacrosse for last, as I know it's what's going to make me the most emotional. Right, okay. But, okay, I'm going to try my best. Oh, right. Lacrosse is a huge part of my life, and is going to be the thing I miss most about Moreton. The thought of never getting on a bus at 6:30 a.m. again, not spending every weekend playing in tournaments, and not hearing Lizzie's version of Defying Gravity every day, I don't think has quite sunk in yet. The memories I've made on the lacrosse pitch these past few years are some of the ones that I'll cherish the most. I've laughed, cried, and made some of my best friends who I can't imagine playing without next year. I don't think anything will ever be quite like playing with this team. We've had so many ups and downs this season. The wins, the losses, golden goals, cramped bus journeys, team talks. They've all brought us so close together, and I'm going to miss you all more than I can say. Miss Walsh and Mrs. Lewin, thank you for everything, for believing in me and pushing me. You really are the best coaches. Miss Walsh can't be here today, but I know she's watching remotely. I honestly don't know what I would have done without you over the past few years. You've taught me so much, and if it wasn't for your encouragement, honesty, and tough love, I wouldn't love lacrosse as much as I do, and come as far as I have. I'm really going to miss having you as my coach. My time here has truly flown by. It's hard to believe that it was 7 years ago I was reading my Year 6 leaver speech, crying almost as much as I have done today. As much as I'll miss this school and everyone who's a part of it, I feel very lucky to be leaving with so many happy memories. Thank you.
Chair, principal, staff, family and friends. After 17 years, the day I never thought would come has arrived. Before I start, my oldest friend and I bet each other we wouldn't cry during my speech. Shall we see how this goes? My childhood has consisted of hot chocolate, toast, climbing trees, watching lacrosse from the side, decorating countless dorms, dancing behind the curtain during the shows, and so many memories. If it wasn't really clear, my childhood is Moreton Hall. Now, it wouldn't be a leaver speech without remembering some of the best bits of the past couple of decades. The Year 6 leavers trip took us to South Snowdonia, where we were glamping in pods. I think you can guess how many keys were lost by 20 10-year-olds. Quite a few. the 2019 circus, in which, as removes, we were given the role of Cossacks dancing on hay bales. I'm not entirely sure why. Both bronze and gold DOB will stay with me forever, mainly because my friends still remind me 4 years later how shaking the tent at 5 a.m. after the rain somehow resulted in them having an early shower. I'm sorry. Gold came with some very high mountains and a few white lies on how far we had left to go. Finally, Cara told me that if I didn't mention the Cookie Gate of 2023, it wouldn't be a complete speech. This involved a certain pug who managed to parkour his way to 2 absolutely delicious chocolate cookies. We've only recently forgiven him. Whilst there are so many more memories, I will save some for just my year. I was once told that Moreton allows you to be whoever you are, at least just for a couple of years. It has been a privilege to be able to decide who I want to be within the safety of green Shropshire fields. The foundation on which confidence and kindness is built upon starts in the school environment. Encouragement and happiness are the key components provided by the staff and students here. The freedom of exploration is only possible due to these extraordinary people. So, to the kitchen staff, the maintenance team, the cleaners, the admin team, my teachers and house staff, thank you. Your dedication is what makes this place so much more than a school. Sorry. Throughout my time here, I've had teachers go above and beyond. But in these past 2 years in sixth form, I've been so lucky. Sorry. Oh, God. From living in the chemistry lab with Mrs. Turnbull, who would never complain how many questions I asked, and supplied snacks and, of course, Diet Cokes, to Mrs. Champion, who I have probably induced so much extra stress, but was always met with a smile. Miss Randall and Miss Plowden had practically adopted the geography set, with only 3 of us, including 2 who did DOV. Many weekends were spent walking together, and of course, colouring in. Despite moving out of Rylands last year, I don't think I've missed a day in their house office. Auntie Kath and Nana, don't worry, I will still continue to email you every day with my somewhat crazy plans, especially if it's paragliding. And of course, the word will answer. Charlesworth brought new freedoms, and of course, Milo the Spaniel. Miss Dooley, thank you for letting me steal your dog at any and every occasion, even 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Mrs. Watkin was always ready for whatever we needed. Mrs. Dyke successfully managed to get 41 teenagers through their A-levels. Finally, Miss DC, who's always been there when I've needed. Your constant encouragement and belief is one of the reasons I'm here today. Sorry. Please know, I will never forget you. Oh. When you grow up somewhere, when your first friendships, first mistakes, and every achievement is celebrated, it becomes home. I'm endlessly grateful that my parents chose to send me to a small school in the middle of a muddy field. I won't mention the 3 occasions my dad almost got home before he remembered to collect me. But I will say thank you for the constant support in every idea and opportunity I wanted to take, even the ones that resulted in an 8 o'clock drop-off on a Sunday morning for tech rehearsals. To the girls with years left to come here, please continue to take every single chance you can. While the world outside continues to spin fast, don't forget that you can stop and breathe here. I know that you will have heard this all before, but it really is true just how fast the last few years of your time go, so you might as well enjoy it. For the lower 5 and lower 6, I wish you all the best for next year. Exams might feel like they're going to take over your life, but just remember, you're surrounded by friends who love you. Take a 5-minute break to paddle in the stream, scream into a pillow, or simply be there with the people who know you best. You will make it. Now, to the upper 6. Thank you for growing up with me. I've known some of you since I was 4, and some are only a couple of years. I'm so proud of us. Oh, sorry. Although we won't see each other every day, I know we're going to be just fine. I think it's only fair to mention some of the key components that make up our year group. 1, the commitment to singing Shine Jesus Shine with dance moves. As I'm writing this in the early hours of our final night here, you're all currently on the 2nd rendition. Yes, I did hear you. the complete support for one another. Whether that's cheerleading and lacrosse, turning up to talent shows, or just celebrating each and every achievement. I think, from a clearly non-biased point of view, we're definitely the best. And finally, 3, the love throughout. I can truly say that from every experience and memory we have created, I know that I will miss you all ridiculously much. Thank you for the music. I would like to take a moment just to thank a few more people individually and potentially cause more tears. I'm sorry. Kat. Although I may not remember the first day we met back in 2011 at the start of reception, you have always been in my life. From playing dress up to deciding to stay together at Moreton after year 6. And now our last day here. I'm so proud of you. Anna and Francis, I know Francis is watching on the live stream. You joined me in running Moreton Enterprises. Our manager's shift on a Friday evening, or the picnics consisting of sushi and cookies on a random Tuesday to get us through, will become those happy memories you randomly think of. Thank you for putting up with all my crazy ideas. Cara, I'm trying to look for her now. There, sigh. Cara, despite knowing you for 4 years and sharing a dorm with you for the majority of lower 6, I will never have enough of you in my life. Although we disagree on how much anyone should love maths, watching your hockey skills become recognised at a national level was quite frankly not surprising. I've ended up watching quite a few games to know that. I'll see you at the Olympics next. Hattie, I'm so grateful to you that I grew up with you, and although we're not actually saying goodbye, I'll miss our daily bickering sessions, which I promise were all well-mannered, despite getting reported once. You're gonna be amazing. Hills, the fact that you're on the other side of the world, thanks, makes saying goodbye just that little bit harder. Now, for those of you who are in our year group, if you were to hear me respond to the name Mum, this is down to Hilary deciding that it was the most fitting name, as Becca was clearly too long. Thank you for always being there, no matter what. Finally, Fionn, you already know how grateful I am to you. Don't miss not sharing a dorm with me too much, okay? I think the worst part about growing up is not knowing when you're doing something for the last time. The last time we played a year group dodgeball tournament. The last time you danced with your friends who live on the other side of the world. The last time you would say goodbye to the people who have been with you your entire childhood. It's never announced. There's no warning, just a quiet end you only recognise years later, when it comes back to you in pieces. Nostalgia is proof you are living a life to be proud of. What a privilege it is to yearn for your own memories. I am so grateful for this school, and the people I've met here will be a part of those memories. Before I finish, I have 3 pieces of advice. Do it scared. What's the worst that could happen compared to missing out on it all? Do it without knowing. You are not going to know everything, so make mistakes, learn from them, but never stop trying. Finally, 100 grams of flour, 2 eggs, and 300 ml of milk. Whisk and fry in butter, because pancakes have never made a day worse. Thank you.
Right, thanks guys for making that quite so hard. Chair, principal, friends and family. To stand in front of you today is something that I hold with great pride and a slight bit of surprise, especially as, at 11, I spent most of my time crying because I wanted to go home. But today I stand here trying to hold it together, as the last thing I want to do is leave. I first heard of Moreton when we stayed at the Lion Keys just across the road before the Royal Welsh Show with my wonderful granny, mummy and Tori. We heard tales of my godmother, who too was lacrosse captain here. Naturally, my sister Tori and I went to an open day and instantly fell in love with the school. One of my most vivid memories of that day was watching a lacrosse match, something I'd never seen before, and then, on the way back to the car, banging my head on the car door. Mummy, also known as Dawn to most of you, stuffed me in the car to avoid disrupting the game. Safe to say, the physical memory stuck with me, as I've had 4 concussions over the last 8 years, averaging at about 1 over the last 3, thanks to the sports department for that. After the open day, we weren't allowed to speak of Moreton until our previous school knew we were leaving. So, on our bus trips home, Tori and I would talk about Moreton in code, one of them being Pony Club, forever holding the Pony Girl nickname. Tori and I used to FaceTime from our rooms, discussing every part of the website that we'd looked at the night before, just so we could talk about it as much as possible. Luckily, the dreams I had had about Moreton were just as perfect and quirky as I had imagined. Mrs. Dennison once said to me, "It's the stuff you grumble about at the time that makes the best memories." Compulsory fun would, unknowingly, be one of them. Our Packwood Reeling Social was possibly one of my fondest memories. Dancing with awkward teenage boys to classic Scottish songs made us all a tad sceptical, but never failed to make us laugh. A character-building experience, to say the least. Remove was a pretty crazy year for us, as we also featured as Cossacks in the circus, showing off our finest hula hooping skills, and watched Mr. Dennison leapfrog over one of the girls. Something that would get some quite strange looks if it happened quite literally anywhere else. Book reports and upper 4 were another part of our compulsory fun. I'd scramble to find a book the day before and proceed to talk about how much I loved the first chapter. Clearly, ChatGPT wasn't available at the time. Our upper 6th production of The Importance of Being Earnest was another highlight. I remember swearing to my friends that there was no chance that the play would go on. No one had learnt their lines, and we had 2 weeks left. But we got the good news. The play was happening full speed ahead. Although I'm sure we were greying over those 2 weeks, especially Mr. Reynolds, the play was a roaring success, and I'll never be able to look at muffins the same way again, as B, playing Algie, proceeded to spit them all over us in every rehearsal. The whole school snowball fight was possibly my biggest highlight. Having snow thrown down my back by Emily Roper after I just washed my hair, and after I gave the nickname Ratty Hattie from Cara for my hair, this was a real low. Nevertheless, the prep continued throwing snowballs at our faces so hard that I swore I couldn't see for a good few moments. These random times make Moreton the school that we are, even if I am still a tad cold. Our time at Moreton has seen revolutionary things. Winning national schools as the smallest team from a field in Shropshire was a feeling that is just truly indescribable. The dedication and passion from each of us was seen in every match, and the pure happiness is captured in every photo. As Emily Fern, one of my teammates, once said, "There's not one photo where you nor Sophie are not crying." And she's not wrong. Beginning lacrosse with the same girls that you become national champions with is something that words can't really express. And I'll forever be grateful to Moreton for giving us every opportunity to win that championship for the first time in history. Mrs. Walsh and Mrs. Lewin, thank you for giving us the strength and ability to do this. Thank you for forever standing on our flooded Astro in rain and snow with 3 floodlights to coach us, to enable us to be the very best that we could. Your belief in us never wavered, and your enthusiasm never stopped, even with a drop of food poisoning on the day. On to other revolutionary things. One of the girls in our year is the reason we now have a cash and card machine in TAC, after a part-time ban, which I'll leave there. We went through COVID together, great changes to the school, the first spring ball, and the Christmas carol service in the amphitheatre, where we sat inside bin bags to keep warm through COVID regulations. There really is nothing more Moreton than an impromptu bin bag blanket. When people ask me what I'll miss most about my time at Moreton, I will always answer the people. As much as I do love our Astro, I will have to part with it at some time. The staff, those here today and those who have moved on, have shaped my time here. They've stayed late beyond hours. They've listened to me falling off my pony for the 10th time that week, which I wish was an exaggeration, but Miss DC and Mummy knows it's not. They've supported me through every aspect of my academic life. ESBs, crises about maths, which is more than I'd like to admit, EPQs, and finally, uni applications. I have never, ever, ever been told no. And that is the most important part of our Moreton culture. No is not something you'll hear, unless you want to go to the poachers for the 3rd time that week. If I could stand here and thank each and every member of staff, I would, but I fear I might have to be tackled off the stage. Firstly, the unsung heroes. The maintenance staff for forever finding my parcels, even when they've got the wrong name on them. The kitchen for the most amazing brunch, which I will miss a lot. The cleaners for dealing with my incredibly messy room, which my parents will know is no mean feat. And those in the office for the endless supply of whiteboard pens, which magically went missing. I am not a drama kid, to say the least, but Mr. Jenkins somehow convinced me to get on the stage, sing Stick It to the Man, and get permanent knee damage from that number. So I'll thank you for that in some measures. Now, I've always been a history lover, thanks to Miss Pritchard's lessons in Remove on the Battle of Hastings. But to Mrs. Kidd, despite only being here for a year, your impact, has been immense. The belief that you have given me and the other history girls in such a short amount of time, oh my gosh, I can't read it, it's something that not just any teacher could achieve. And I'm so, so grateful for putting up with my hundreds of emails, even over the Christmas week. Now, English is a subject that I doubt my parents nor sisters would have ever thought that I would have taken, seeing as I actually refused to read. But I must admit, it was the teachers that convinced me to take it. Mrs. Thomas, you've been a bit like a second mum to me at Moreton. Your support, both academically and pastorally, as well as the gossip sessions, are something that I will truly miss, and of course are a vital part of Moreton. And Mr. Reynolds, thank you for letting me play Ernest, growing my love for English, forcing me to somewhat read, and forever believing that we'd beat Shrewsbury at hockey, which is still very unlikely. I'm so, so grateful. Every single house mistress I've had, specifically my sixth form house mistresses, thank you for putting up with our A-level complaints, reading my courseworks, forever printing out for me, and tackling our dorm forms. That is not something I would wish on my worst enemy. Unlike Eliza, I'm not a physics lover. However, Mr. Long made the idea of Newton far more exciting, especially after fake shouting at me and making me almost pass out with laughter, especially when I told him I didn't get a tattoo or get arrested in Zante. Mrs. Quantrell, you have made me incredibly vigilant on timings. Sometimes when I look at my phone at 9:43, I think, gosh, I should probably have my phone in now. We've coined a phrase that every single house should have you for at least a year, and there is nothing more true. Miss Blanchard, your care and consideration for me has been unmatched, especially over the last tough few weeks, and I could not be more grateful to you. The sports department have had to leave you till last. Where on earth do I start? The last 8 years have revolved around sport at Moreton, especially lacrosse, physically stopping me from leaving the school. The support and care you have given me on and off the pitch is something that I'll forever be in debt to you for, and I thank you so much. Finally, upper sixth, we've grown up together both physically and emotionally. From jumping out of wardrobes at each other, to sitting in the library in the link till beyond darkness praying for our grades. I'll find it odd not hearing about each and every aspect about everyone's life over a cup of English breakfast or the latest trend of white tea. Whether they like it or not, and laughing over significant events, which always seem to involve a boy of sorts. All in all, this is what has kept us so close, bonding over TikTok dances, the latest era we're in, and whether or not dabbing is socially acceptable, which, in my opinion, it always is. Every girl in this year group will go far in anything, as long as Ruby isn't questioned on anything to do with politics, in particular, Nigel Farage. When I was deciding how to end this, I thought back to an English lesson when Mr. Dennison told me that Winnie the Pooh were the second most important books to read, after his, of course. As someone who often stood blankly when books were mentioned, which is a great job when I took English A-level, I was pleased to announce that I had in fact read these books. In them, Winnie the Pooh once said, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard." And that could not be more true today. This is where it all goes a bit pear-shaped. For that, I'd like to thank my parents and my grandparents. Oh my gosh. One sec. My late granny, who would have loved to have been here today. And granddad, who's in the audience. Thank you for forever picking me up to go riding, picking up my jacket when I forgot it, which is far more times than I'd like to admit, and picking us up from the social event of the year, which of course is Iton races. I will miss not being able to pop over and see you whenever I like. Knowing that you were just a few moments away at 11 made me so happy, and I thank you so much for just being one phone call away from coming to get me, or the Amazon parcel that would arrive the next day. And of course to Mummy and Richie. This is not hounding to you, Richie, I promise. You've had enough today. Without you, I wouldn't be standing here. Thank you for convincing me to carry on when I was homesick at 11 and for letting me stay at 16. Without you, I wouldn't have had the determination to put everything into Moreton life, nor the opportunity. Although I may not always seem grateful, I always am, and it's to you that I'll forever be in debt to. As I leave today, I want to give a final piece of advice for the prep school to come. I was told in Remove by 3 upper sixth who are leaving, as we're heading into our final number of the circus, try absolutely everything you can and make the most of every single moment. That is something I too would like to pass on. Moreton truly is a place like no other. Make use of every opportunity, because it absolutely flies by, and you won't know what you have until it's gone. Thank you.
Okay, well, leavers. Just because it is your time to leave, it doesn't mean that your time at Moreton has to come to an end. This will always be your school. Thank you for everything that you've contributed to it. We'll always be glad to see you back here. For now, we're going to keep our prize winners behind. We're going to ask pupils to stay in their seats, and we're going to ask parents if they would calmly and politely leave via the door there, head towards the walled garden via, this bit's really important, via the main school building where you can collect a glass of something refreshing, and you'll need that, and then head into the walled garden for lunch. Thank you all so